MVP.
Rangers do every day. It's always been that way for me. Always been a get better mentality every day, grow every day, be a better leader every day, be a better quarterback every day. And when that wrench do, I don't plan on missing no payments. So.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 3 in the Keystone, episode 85. Adam Seltzer alongside Al Ryan and Chris Guest for tonight's episode. Gents, it's an easy one tonight. Number 85. Huh?
Antonio Gates.
I knew you were going to. I knew that's what I gave you, Antonio Brown, last week. You're firing
Antonio
back.
Gates.
Ocho Cinco. There's only one man who named himself after the number. Come on.
Adopted Philadelphian.
That Chad Ocho Cinco. Remember, Chad did say not to worry about the Eagles in the playoffs because they were playing possum in a regular season.
Yeah, we're call that one.
We went to take that.
I feel out of place here tonight. I did not wear our trusty 3 in the Keystone hoodie apparel.
Yeah, you got the home. You got the home white. You got the home whites on.
I got the road blues. Well, our home whites even home whites anymore? I feel like we wear them on the road nowadays. These teams.
They're not.
The jersey world's a mess.
Yeah,
I don't.
But speaking of home, away from home, the Sunshine Sandwich Shop, right? Sunshine Sandwich Shop at 5154 Ridge Ave in Manayunk. Cold and hot sandwiches special. This week's the last week for the Po' Boy specials. I believe it's a chicken fried steak this week if you're a Po' Boy kind of guy. So check them out to the end of February and go get yourself a sandwich there at the Sunshine Sandwich Shop.
I was back just last week. I told you guys I was going back. I brought 4 colleagues from work. There was 5 of us there. And I got to tell you, listen, as good as the Tommy Chong was, the Carmine, I believe it's called, the Italian that they have. Oh my God. That's the sandwich you got to drop everything and get. It was divine.
I got to make my way down there. There's no question. It's just a little bit of a ride these days, but I'll get down there and see Steve in the group and grab myself either maybe a Tommy Chong. We'll find out. Got to take a look at the menu.
Real quick, I wanted to add before we started talking about the sandwich shop. These MLB jerseys. Speaking of jerseys, have you seen these? These are a mess.
The players even said they're terrible.
Yeah, the player association is now getting involved because they literally look like they are from no disrespect to Kohl's, but they look like they're from a random miscellaneous department store, and they look like they're not even authentic jerseys. They look
you got to be careful. It's a former sponsor of ours.
Well, I'm just saying, it's
Kohl's Sephora.
It's weak, man. It's really weak. And also, we saw the potential Phillies City Edition and the disaster that was. So,
yes, that can't be real, right?
No, I don't. I think they might have to pull those. Like, people are hot and the players are hot. I don't know.
As they should be. They're gonna look like dopes out there wearing that, man. Like, that's really bad.
We just need to get our money together and we'll get a 3 in the Keystone 3K on the Phillies jerseys. What better sponsor than for us to put our names on the Phillies?
It'll be cleaner than that crap.
Yeah.
And I'd probably tell you what, they'd probably rather wear that than the stuff that MLB's putting out there.
For sure.
Al, you want to plug some social media before we get into segment 1?
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with what that logo looks like, go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram. It's at 3K_podcast or on Twitter at 3K podcast. Or do yourselves look, just Google the name. How many 3 in the Keystones do you think there are? Guest, I know you probably researched it beforehand.
1.
There's
How about
one.
Ocho Cinco? How about Uno?
They're 1 of 1. Shout out to Deshaun Jackson. So just Google 3 in the Keystone and you'll find us. Google 3K podcast. Follow us. Subscribe. Set the auto downloads on. Whatever you need to do, man.
Absolutely. So make sure you're checking us out on social. All right, gents, let's jump into segment 1. We are in the dog days of February. last year, listen, we were ahead of the curve as usual. If you've been listening to podcasts around the country nowadays, they're complaining about the NBA All-Star game and the debacle that has become. That was our segment 1 at this time last year when we went through it. So instead of venting about the All-Star game and what it was, I put together some questions for you guys about the future of Philadelphia sports. And I'm curious to see your responses. I've done one for each of the sports and then a bonus question at the end. And we'll just kind of riff and go with the flow here, boys. So my first question to you guys is I mentioned the NBA All-Star game was this past weekend. Tyrese Maxey makes his first appearance in the All-Star game, scores 10 points, a respectable outing for him. What's the over-under for career All-Star games for Tyrese Maxey? If I set it at 3.5, are you going over or under career All-Star appearances for Tyrese Maxey?
That was a great number. I mean, if you think about it, we get so spoiled by these ridiculous statistics and achievements of these guys. LeBron having 19 All-Star appearances or whatever it is at this point. I mean, if you had 4 All-Star appearances, even 3 All-Star appearances, that's a hell of a career, right? You got to also look at the competition he'd have for those spots. Obviously, in a guard-driven league, in a better conference right now with the Eastern Conference, he's going to have a lot of competition for those spots. And it's going to be Devin Booker, if you remember, once upon a time, had a tough time getting into an All-Star game because of the competition that he had to face every year for that position. And Maxey could be one of those kind of folks as well. So that's a great number. I would say
push.
Maybe it'll be a strike year in there for the half. I guess I'm going to be hopeful and go for the over. But I can already hear people now, if he plays for 12 years, 4 All-Stars isn't even that great. That's still a really great, really good career. And I would take that if I was him, and especially with the competition factor. So I'll go positive, glass half full, and I'll say the over.
I attacked this in such a way that I wanted to take my emotions out of this because, I mean, Adam, especially, I mean, you know how I feel about Tyrese Maxey. We were sitting here, a month and a half, 2 months ago, talking about him being the best guard in the East, better than I said I'd take him over Kevin Durant at one point. So I had to take all the emotion out of this and I had to dig a little deep. I'm going to name just a few names for you guys, and I want you to tell me whether this person at their prime was better than Tyrese Maxey this season, okay? Gilbert Arenas.
Yes.
Right? Bradley Beal.
Wait. So you're saying you're going to name the guys, and we say to you if we think that their prime was better than Maxey's current prime.
Yeah, so say the guy or say Maxey.
So, to be fair, I understand the test. I don't think Maxey's in his prime yet. So it's not really a fair comparison.
I get that.
Yeah, okay. No, in his prime, you said Maxey, you said?
No, I said Arenas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Okay. Derrick Rose.
Derrick Rose.
Darren Williams.
Williams.
I don't know about that one.
Brandon Roy.
Was really good.
Brandon Roy.
Bradley Beal.
Kevin Johnson.
Didn't see enough Kevin Johnson, but I would imagine it's Kevin Johnson.
Well, get it, brother. Get in here. Like, what are we?
No, this is rapid fire.
Just answer quick. There's not an argument. Give us one word. You disagree?
A chance to answer.
You gotta make or get off the pot, as they say.
Kevin Johnson, Maxey, KJ from the Suns.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, Maxey, definitely.
Stephon Marbury.
Maxey.
Okay, and then this one. I have a bunch more, but I'll end it here with this one. Fat Lever.
Oh, hey now.
Okay, what do these guys have in common? Do you guys know what I'm getting at? They
never made 4 All-Star games.
Yeah, all players that made 3 or less. It's really hard to make 4 or more. Since 1951, only 209 players have done that. So when you're constantly fighting guys already in the league, guys getting better, young guys coming up, you're fighting injuries. This day and age, Guest was just talking about, you're fighting longevity in the sense that there are guys like Kevin Durant and LeBron James that are playing for 20 years at a level that's never been heard of before. Now, that's not to say Tyrese Maxey can't be one of those guys, but there's just so much going against someone to make 4 All-Star games, history, and now that if I'm taking emotion out of it, I'm taking the under.
And I want to just add too, Al. That's a great exercise. I just pulled up real quick out of curiosity Gilbert Arenas' statistic. So we know this is a golden era right now of these of NBA scoring and all kind. I mean, Embiid. I don't know if he still does because of his minutes played or his games played, but he averaged over 35 a game. That's unheard of. All right. So Gilbert Arenas. If I ask you, Al, you may know this already from looking this up for your exercise. Seltzer, what do you think Gilbert Arenas' points per game for his career was?
20.7.
All right, you obviously have it up.
I'm actually staring at it right now. I pulled it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's no way you hit that right on the head like that.
But like, listen, like for Gilbert, after he got hurt after his age 25 season. If you look at age 23, 24, 25, he was 25.5, 29.3, 28.4. And like you said, Chris, that's before the NBA blew up scoring wise. He was elite offensively at that level.
And he wasn't a great shooter. I mean, he only shot on average. He was a 35% career 3-point shooter. And he was in an era where they were starting to jack up the threes, but he wasn't you probably would think, at least I did, he was a better 3-point shooter than he really was. My point in saying that is these guys a lot of them that you just said, it's almost unfair to compare because, like, for instance, a guy like Kevin Johnson was a really good player at his time. But right now, his numbers will be very pedestrian. If you were a kid that just grew up in this era right now, you would be like, this guy wasn't even that great. But we talked before about how we watched like old school NBA finals where the Bulls would have 6 or 7 3-point attempts a game.
Yeah.
And that was like a substantial amount, right? And now you get one player having that in a half.
Let me tell you this.
The point of the names was just because at one point when those guys were at the top of their game, you would have said these guys are making more than 3.5 All-Star games.
Right. We'll jump to the next question, but I saw a Bill Simmons reel and he was talking about the All-Star game. Did you know in the 1991 All-Star game, the Eastern Conference All-Stars made 0 3-pointers? They were 0 for 7 from 3 in that game.
And I'll tell you what else, Al, and that's a great point, Seltzer. Al, the guys you named, you said Arenas. I'm just thinking off the top of my head what you were. Arenas, Derrick Rose, Kevin Johnson,
Brandon Roy, Darren Williams.
They all had one thing in common.
Yep. They all got hurt.
Yes. And so hopefully Maxey won't have that same situation play out, but that contributed to why they only made the amount of All-Star games they did as well, I believe.
Yeah, that's a fair point. If those guys stay healthy, they make more than 3 All-Star games.
Especially guys like Derrick Rose. I mean, Derrick Rose was
Rose, Arenas, and Roy.
Yeah.
But even a guy like, Rajon Rondo is a Hall of Famer, only made 4 All-Star games.
It's tough, man, especially when you're a guard in currently a guard-driven league. Like, it's and for the record, you would agree with that, right? You would agree that the NBA right now is a guard-driven league,
especially overall. In the East. When you look at we've had All-Star rosters, the East is young, man. Yeah. Like the East has some talent,
and we're in the era where it's Jokic and Embiid is like the top dogs as far as MVPs are concerned. But like, let's not kid ourselves. This is still a guard-driven league.
Yeah. You have 9 players in 74 years is not a lot of people.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the second question. We're going to turn to the birds here. We'll start with Chris. What would Jalen Hurts next season have to look like for you to consider him not the quarterback of the future for the Eagles?
A white guy named Purdy.
Listen, I'm still hyped up about the NBA conversation, honestly, but because there's other things we can make a point about that, but we'll bookmark that. So for Hurts, if I asked Sarah this question before we got on, and she said probably around the same lines of what I would. If he comes in training camp and you're hearing a lot of the same stories with a new coaching staff of the newfound prima donna attitude and not really a lot of growth that's occurred over the summer, that's going to be a big red flag for me. This will be the second year now with the bag. All right. And if he still hasn't realized or seen what his last season had done to his legacy or his career, and the lack of leadership that this team probably could have needed from him at the end, if he doesn't see that still, that's a big red flag for me as far as showing maybe he's not who we thought he was. And that hurts to say that because I'm a big Jalen Hurts supporter. So I hope that we don't get to that point, but that's what would have to happen for me.
Guess we're on the same page. I have the same exact thing. It all has to do with the locker room. It's the on-field performance is the on-field performance. He's going to be fine. I don't see him ever cratering, but this can get Wentzian real quick where all of a sudden guys are just sick of his act. More guys are starting to come out and say they can't play with him. He's not a good leader, etc. That's how it goes south.
And more importantly, too, with the Wentz situation, the big thing with Wentz was not only did he have issues with people believing him in the locker room as far as his peers, but the coaches had said, this guy's not an easy guy to work with. Yeah. It's hard to believe a guy like him will be uncoachable, but he became uncoachable. And so if Hurts does that same path, we can't be a franchise that has this happen again. We can't, this can't happen
that quick.
This can't.
The strengths coming into the season were his locker room and his leadership, and it just seemed to dissipate completely. And there were definitely some rumblings about, him as a leader throughout the season.
He would be the last guy 2 years ago that if you said what player is going to totally go a 180 and become, someone that guys don't want to play for and play with, he'd be one of the last guys I would have thought would have been in that situation. So
the exact position Wentz was in that exact position.
You might have to look at that now as if it's back-to-back franchise QBs that this organization's had that's done that, all of a sudden it becomes a franchise question.
Yeah,
100%. And judgment with the franchise as far as picking these guys.
Yep, an evaluation process.
Yeah,
correct.
All right, let's go to question 3. Baseball season pitchers and catchers are in full swing. Which one of the Phillies regulars will be the first one to no longer be a Philadelphia Philly?
I hated this question. I'll be honest with you.
Why did you hate it?
Because you look at the contract situations that all these guys have currently, and it's easy to say whoever has the least amount of years left.
No, but that's not the route I went.
What did you say, Castellanos?
No, I went Rojas.
Okay, so you're saying as far as if he doesn't prove himself this year, he might find himself back where he came from in the minors?
I do, and I think that's going to cause a little bit of a rift between him and the organization. I don't think they believe in his bat. And I think that he's someone that can get us a good return still, which makes the most sense for me as far as bringing back talent. And then we have Justin Crawford, who's waiting in the wings, and he's supposed to be a very good defensive fielder as well, but somebody with a little bit more of a bat. So I think Rojas is expendable.
Well, there's only one outfield bat that I'm interested in at this point via trade that Rojas would help contribute to get. You know who I'm talking about. Mr. South Jersey himself. That's the guy. Now, look, Crawford has a good pedigree. His daddy was a great player, right? And I believe he could be a great player. But the Phillies are notorious for holding on to prospects that are and making these guys untouchable that are not that don't pan out. They're notorious for that. In the last 10, 15 years, there's been situations where there's been the Kyle Drabecks of the world, the Jason Donalds, the Lou Marsons, Dom Brown.
We traded all them though.
But I'm saying at one point in time when we could have had bigger names, we chose to go away from those deals because of like Ed Wade, for instance. There's a lot of guys Ed Wade would not move in circumstances because they were untouchable guys. Ruben Amaro had some guys too, but he was at least willing to make some of those moves, right? This organization, I feel like we're not a team that builds our farm system to the point where we're a top 5, top 10 farm system where we can afford to just say, this guy's expendable, this guy's not expendable. If you have a chance to make a move, you got to make the move.
Well, first of all, Ruben Tomorrow's nickname was Ruin Tomorrow. he was the guy that was willing to do it.
Like I love
back in the day when we were contending for titles and stuff, they were willing to do it. Then there was that stretch where I think when we sucked, when we did try to build up the farm system, but I think it all becomes a matter of a problem that the Sixers also have is just we just don't draft well as an organization.
Yeah, like for instance, the room right now is with Clase from the Indians. I mean, the Guardians, and the rumor about them wanting Crawford back in a trade. Clase is nasty. And he's still under a lot of control for several years. He's only, I think, 25, if I remember correctly, something like that. He is filthy. But I go back and forth with it if I'm willing to trade a guy like Crawford for a closer, because closers are so, you never know. You might get the next Mariano Rivera, or you might get the next Ken Giles, where they're good for a year and then they flame out.
They're volatile.
It's very volatile. And we already have a lot of guys that we could use in that position. So I don't know what Kirkring's going to end up being for this year. I don't know what, Dominguez, if he comes back like he did in 2022 versus last year. There's different question marks. But my point is like that trade, I don't think I would separate with Crawford from that for that player. But there's players out there that if in the proper situation, I'm not going to just say, well, nope, Crawford's untouched. You gotta really evaluate these guys and what's worth it for you to get this next ring to this organization.
I'm trading it. No one's off the table for me.
You've ventured far away from this question. I don't know. You still haven't given us
I told you I didn't like it.
We got to give us an answer.
So the most least likely guy, you said?
No, who's the most likely guy to be the first one out of these?
I'm saying the least likely guy to stay is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I would guess I'd say a guy like Brendan Marsh.
Okay.
I think a guy who is still very young and has a lot of potential, but at the same time, he's got a lot of major league at bats. So if you can upgrade in the outfield, I think honestly he's the first guy you think of that they would separate from.
He's added some pop. The only reason why I didn't say him is because I think they might get more back for Rojas. But Marsh is only he's not that much older than Rojas, is he? And he's got more major league experience. I don't know if he wouldn't get something back legitimately for Marsh. I mean, as far as putting him in a deal with other things, not by himself, but I think Marsh is a nice prospect for a trade for certain teams. He might be ahead of the timeline for certain teams, depending on who you're trading with. But I think he would fit well for certain deals.
I don't hate the answer. I think you're right. I mean, it depends on. I mean, essentially, you guys are answering the same answer, but you're just trying to figure out who they value more or who you can get more for. I haven't answered any of these questions. I'm going to let you guys go, but I want to answer this one. I actually think the answer is Alec Boehm. And I think it's Alec Boehm because he's sneakily a little bit older than you would think. He's already in his age 27 season. So he's not like a 24, 25-year-old at this point. He's been good, but he hasn't been great. They took him to arbitration already this year and went to trial with him. And they also, apparently, the kid they drafted this past year, Aiden Miller, is supposed to be a stud, and they like him a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if Boehm was a piece to a package this year. I don't think Miller's ready to play yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Boehm was the guy that they ended up moving.
Well, let's not forget, Boehm was a top 10 overall pick.
Number 3. He went third overall. He was third overall.
Yeah, so it's not like he's just a random guy that made it through the system. I mean, he's been a top prospect. And look, Miller's another guy that has been in rumors for being in certain trades. So you never know. Also, we're going to get at some point and get the next question, but real quick. Whit Merrifield I love that pickup for the Phillies. That gives them so much versatility, so many different places, infield and outfield. That guy I know he's been hiding in Kansas City, but he's had a really good career so far. And if you look at his stats, I mean, he's led the league in stolen bases one year. He's had 40 doubles, I think, 3 different times. He is a really good glove, really consistent as far as being available. He's very durable, not a guy that gets hurt a lot. And I think this city's going to love this guy. I don't think he'll be here for just 1 year.
He's already saying the right stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
I think we're going to love that dude.
I know one person that will be upset if Alec Boehm is out of Philly, and that's my wife, who became very, very accustomed to seeing him celebrating with his shirt off in the locker room during that postseason run.
Yeah, some of the ladies they like the Boehmer. Now listen, I'm a jealous cat. All right, so I don't like to have those conversations with my wife, but
After the Chelsea talk last week,
hey, she can keep those conversations to herself amongst her friends. But I, whatever floats your boat. But I know a lot of the ladies like Boom.
Yeah, cool, Boom.
Yeah. All right, let's two more quickly. Team we don't talk much about, the Fly Guys.
Oh.
What would the Flyers have to do to garner your attention?
What's that saying from is it Django Unchained? You had my curiosity, now you have my attention. And that's how I feel the Flyers are right now, with them kind of, hovering in playoff contention. The only way they're going to get my full attention is really simple. They have to get to the second round of the playoffs. That's it.
That's a great line, by the way. I love that movie.
Fantastic line.
Top 5, top 10 at worst for me. So again, showing Sarah these questions before we came on here, she said, win a Stanley Cup. I'm like, well, at that point, like,
that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
So, hey, she's not a native Philadelphian, but sometimes she's tougher than some of us are. Look, I like the direction the Flyers are going. I like what Briere and Keith Jones are doing, or should I say, Jonesy and whatever you. I don't even know what you'd say for Briere. What was his nickname? Brierzy?
He was Danny Playoffs.
Danny B.
You know how hockey always everybody's ER at the end or a Y at the end.
Yeah.
Guesty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I like the direction they're going. I think that I love how Tortorella said not that long ago this year that I don't care how many games we win, the process is still it's still the same. And if we get chances to get better and set ourselves up for the better future this year by trading a veteran, we're going to do it still. So don't be surprised to see that happen in the next couple. I think the trade deadline for NHL is March 8th. For me, they need to get a superstar like Couturier, Cootsie. All right, Cootsie ain't gonna do it for me.
Dude, Tippett's nice though.
Tippett's a nice player, which everybody hated on when we got Giroux.
Wait a minute, how many Flyers can you guys name? Let's do that.
I mean, I watched them a couple times now. I'm not. I don't watch them all the time, but
I'm not going to embarrass myself.
Well, the goalie.
What about little Travis Sanheim guest?
Sanheim, we got.
So I got Connect Me.
Ursan, the rookie
goalie.
Who everybody loves. He might be the future of the team at this point. Connect Me.
Yep.
Who's the guy that if we weren't Flyers people, we would hate.
What about Lindstrom?
Lindstrom. What's the guy? What's my man? The guy that might get traded. Lawton.
Oh,
Scotty
yeah.
Lawton.
Yep.
All right, hurry up. People are logging off quick. They're clicking off.
I did look up Danny Briere's nickname. This is pretty good. He earned the nickname the Cookie Monster from the Sabres play-by-play announcer for his notoriety for shooting top shelf, quote, where mama hides the cookies.
Okay. Now listen, Danny could play, man. Danny was a good player.
He was fantastic.
He was a really nice player. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm on board. I think he seems to have a good head on his shoulders with what he's doing with that job. I think their future is bright. I really do. But they got to get a superstar. We got to get butts in the seats over there for that. I mean, none of our three butts has been in them seats.
But that's only because ticket prices don't come down even when they stink. Like, I'm not going to go pay $40, $50, $60 a ticket when they're terrible.
True. Those ticket holders, unlike the Sixers ticket holders, we'll give tickets up.
Yeah.
They do not give tickets up.
All right, let's get to the bonus question here, boys. Would you get rid of Zach Wheeler for one healthy postseason of Joel Embiid? Chris, let's throw it to you first. Guaranteed the whole playoff run, he's healthy. But Zach Wheeler is no longer a Philly.
No, because he's healthy, we talked before about questioning the mental.
Ooh, so you've lost faith. He's on the bandwagon now.
No, but I'm not willing to sacrifice the whole. I mean, having Zach Wheeler, having an ace, a major league ace for years, who's been durable.
But you would know. You would know whether or not Embiid was the guy or wasn't the guy at that point.
I mean, we talk about Bohm being quietly older than people realize. I think Joel's probably in the same boat. I mean, I think we know who Joel is.
Do we?
The question is, can we surround him with guys that are going to help him and us get over that hump and not have him do it by himself? I don't think he's capable of being a guy that leads you by himself at this point. I don't have faith in that. So to ultimately answer your question, yeah, a little bit I've lost faith in that. Yes.
So I think us on this podcast are on the same page that we know what Joel Embiid is. But I don't think the city of Philadelphia, I think a lot of the people are still of the belief he's never been healthy for a postseason run, and he can still lead that team to whatever level it was if he was healthy. I know the three of us aren't really on that bandwagon at this point, but I think we're in the minority.
I feel like the city shifted where, like, early on in Embiid's career, people would hate on him and be down on him because he was shooting too much from the perimeter and dribbling too much. And now all of a sudden they love the guy when he can't stay on the court. I don't know how that happened.
He's a great player, and he's my favorite player. And I don't want to sound like I'm not trying to sound like a hater, but history is what it is. And I feel like history is not biased. History is factual. It is what it is. And he's now had, what is this, 6 years?
Yeah.
Where we've been a playoff team and he's been on our team active. And every year there's been an issue. I'm not one to be insane with Joel Embiid. The insanity element for me is gone. I'm not going to keep doing it and expecting him to all of a sudden be 40 a game in the playoffs like some superstars had the potential to do when the moment rises. I still believe it's hard for centers in today's NBA playoff world to be great. I know Jokic did it, but Jokic is also an outlier. And I think as much as Embiid is capable of being an outlier, he hasn't shown that that's something that we can rely upon him to do. And until that happens, we're where we are.
Well, guest, welcome to the Wolfpack, brother. Throw your Wolfpacks up. Like you're like
just a piece. I don't want a whole thing for Embiid, brother. I just want a piece.
You're like Savage joining the red and black. Finally, welcome to the team.
And I'm not happy or proud of that. Like, I mean, but at the same time, like, we've got burned too many times.
Yeah, I agree. You know? Listen, in my heart, as a fan,
it's terrible thinking that.
I want the Sixers to win a title more than any team. And
I want to win a title so much.
Part of that is because we got to see a Phillies title and we got to see an Eagles title. But I want the Sixers to win so bad. But I'm not going to rob Peter to pay Paul here. And in this case, I'm not going to rob John to pay Josh. The Phillies are just as viable of winning a championship as the Sixers are right now, even with a healthy Joel Embiid. A healthy Joel Embiid on this roster still does not guarantee that we leapfrog past Boston, Milwaukee, the Clippers, the Suns, the Nuggets, the Timberwolves, and probably 5 other teams in the league right now. Whereas losing Zach Wheeler from the Phillies would destroy their rotation. He's a bona fide playoff stud. He's basically the exact opposite of Joel Embiid when it comes to that case. There's no team that's going to make a postseason run without a strong 1-2 punch at the top of your rotation. And we're talking about the pitcher with the second best whip in postseason history. And I know that he's getting old. But when you look at some guys, Jacob deGrom, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, he's going to be 35. Zach Wheeler. He's going to be 35.
In baseball, yeah.
But
he's a healthy 35, though.
I mentioned that because I know there's some trepidation about signing him to an extension. But there are guys, when you get to that elite level of pitcher, which I believe Zach Wheeler is, that they still can turn it on in those late 30s years. Like, I have no trust issues when it comes to Zach Wheeler.
I mean, look at guys like Verlander, who's 78 years old, and he's still pitching at a high level.
That's what I just said. Verlander, Scherzer, deGrom. Like, look at those guys in their late 30s. They still put it together.
Even Kershaw, he hasn't done it in the playoffs, but he's still been great in regular season.
You can even say guys like Kershaw could be in there. They're very capable of doing that. You're 100% right, Al. I can't mortgage the Phillies' future for a potential one seat, because that's what you're going to get at most is one healthy year.
That's all you're getting.
You don't get it.
Guaranteed.
You're going to lose to Boston.
All right. So we're all on the same page. We're all not. I agree. I'm not giving up Zach Wheeler for a healthy Embiid run. One word answer. Aaron Nola, though? Would you give up Nola for a run?
No.
I would.
Oh, man.
Guess where's Dam?
I would for Nola, yeah, because you have other guys. I mean, if Nola comes back next year like he did in 23, Nola, yeah. But if he's lights out Cy Young caliber, then obviously not. But I don't know if we'll ever see that Nola again.
The one thing that I've learned on this podcast, if you tell guests to give you a one-word answer, you're just never going to get a one-word answer.
It ain't happening, dog. It ain't happening. I got too much. I wear my heart on my. I got too much going on. I got to give the people all I'm thinking about.
Except for that one time when you said one word, yes or no, and then you were like, "Oh, who's better, like Jalen Hurts or Daniel Jones or something?"
Yeah, that's true.
I guess you said yes.
I fooled him.
Can I just say one more thing before we wrap up?
Yeah.
The first question with the NBA, with the All-Star situation, a big problem, and I don't know if a lot of people have talked about this enough. Al, you see it every day like I do as teachers. This generation is the most uncompetitive generation in American history. And these guys that are playing are right there. A lot of those guys are Gen Zers or whatever the hell they want to call themselves. They all want to play with each other instead against each other. They all want to just team up and just do a bunch of highlight reels instead of having competition. And these All-Star games are clear evidence of that. When we talk about the 90s and the 80s and even early 2000s All-Star games, right? I watched the other night where they had the, I think it was the 01 All-Star game or 02 when Iverson won MVP, and he had like 25 points and like 8 assists. And now you're like, so he had an MVP with 25 points, but the game meant something. Those guys wanted to get at it. AI, Shaq, Kobe, McGrady, those guys wanted to go after each other. And guys before that with the Jordans, the Malones, all those guys, these dudes don't care about that. They really don't. And until that changes, this is what you're going to get. If you have to monetize every single thing, it might benefit the richer, like the players. It doesn't benefit the fans all the time. And what about the guys that already don't need money? LeBron, you think $1 million really matters to him?
No.
Or these guys that have supermax deals, they don't care.
No, I just two quick thoughts on that, guess, is that number one, back then the All-Star game I think meant more because you're going against guys in a scenario where you can bust the ass of the best players in the world. And that's really where the only place you could have seen it at the time, because social media didn't exist. You didn't go viral every night. Every night someone goes viral and we see everyone's highlights every single night. You know what I mean? So like back then it kind of meant a little bit more for an Allen Iverson to go and bust Kobe's ass because everyone's watching the All-Star game because you're not going to watch it any other time. You get what I'm saying there?
Yeah, but I also think that just that generation was just more competitive. And like even now, look at Embiid for the Olympics. He chose to be with his American citizenship, which is great for him. But he chose to play with the U.S. instead of playing against those guys as a French nationalist who would have Wembanyama and Gobert, Fournier. Those guys have NBA guys, but they're not to level the USA team. So
Right.
like it even extends to that. They just are not competitive. And even with the flops and the fouls and all that stuff, the playoffs today, it's not the same because the referee's allowed to be junk and just you get touched with a fingernail, you get a foul. Those things all contribute to a lack of competitive nature that has become an issue, not just with NBA players, but just with the generation as a whole. And it shows itself in a lot of different avenues of life. But in this conversation within the NBA, this is what these guys are. They don't care about competing. They just want to show off. And they want to bully people that don't have the skills they have.
It's also preservation of self because they don't want to get hurt because there's too much money on the line. That's a result of the owners just being greedy forever. Like we're in like a house of cards era right now in sports where it's all starting to crumble for these owners, like the NCAA and PGA we talked about before. Same thing with the NBA because these guys have finally understood, hey, like we're the ones bringing the money in.
We joke about hockey, and you guys give me joke around with me about soccer, but those hockey all-star games are still good watches for those fans because those guys still get at it.
Yeah,
the soccer, like for instance, MLS, for instance, the all-star game. A lot of those leagues in Europe don't have all-star games, but MLS, because of the American culture, we have an all-star game, and a lot of times they'll play a top European team. Those MLS All-Stars, that means the world to those guys. You could go out there and not pay them a dime. They will give you 100% effort because of what it means to them and the competitive nature of what it means, not just for their personal lives, but also from a global perspective, it's a big deal. The MLS All-Stars beat Arsenal or Real Madrid or one of those teams. The NBA is full of just prima donna dudes that are filthy rich. And now, like you said, they don't want to get hurt. They don't want to compete. They want to make their money. They want to showcase their skills, and they want to go home and spend their money. No better example of that is the point guard we used to have. There's no competitive bone in his body.
Yeah,
I agree with almost everything you said. There's no.
And it's sad.
We're going to see they're going to have to make some changes to the game because honestly, it's not fair to the fans. If you bought a ticket to go watch that, it was a disgrace.
It's the new Pro Bowl.
It's worse. No, that's not worse. The Pro Bowl,
the Pro Bowl was better. But you're right. It's getting there though. I mean, I watched it for. I used to love the whole All-Star game, the Saturday night, the weekend, the whole weekend. The celebrity game I found was better than the All-Star game.
I didn't watch
that game sucked.
I didn't watch a second.
I watched literally about 2-3 minutes of it, and in the times that I watched it, including the fourth quarter, I might have seen 2 spans of time where the court was full of guys that were running. There were times where guys were just literally standing around.
I mean, Luka took a shot from 3/4 court. Luka threw up a shot from 3/4 court.
Yeah,
the Luka shot. That's a disgrace.
Again, imagine
you don't even do that at the LA Fitness. You get kicked off the gym if you do that.
All right, let's move forward because we got some more basketball to talk in segment 2 as we move ahead here. We are now the unofficial halfway point of the season of the All-Star break, but more likely closer to 60 or 65% of the way there. We did our NBA preseason predictions earlier this year, but now's a good time to go back and not only revisit those, but see where our thoughts are now.
Nah, we good. We're good.
So I want to start with this question for you guys. I want to know who your top 3 contenders are in each conference. We'll start in the East to get out of the conference, not to finish in the regular season 1, 2, 3. Who are your top 3 teams to come out of the East and make it to the NBA Finals at this point? Start with you, Al.
My top 3. So I'll go 3 to 1. 3. I honestly have the Miami Heat because I'm not going to sit here and they do it. They do it all the time. Like they're a postseason team. Jimmy Butler's a postseason player. He turns into Michael Jordan in the postseason. So I'm not going to sit here and be fooled by the fact that they're mediocre in the regular season. So I'm taking the Heat at 3, and it's also because I don't really believe in some of these other teams that are at the top of the pecking order right now. At number 2, I got the Knicks. The Knicks were red hot in January. They were 14-2. They came back down to earth a little bit in February. But the Brunson Randall duo is just working, man. Like they're a great scoring duo, and I think you need a great scoring duo to be successful in the postseason in the NBA. And then number 1's easy, man. It's the Celtics. The Celtics are the best team in basketball yet again. They're the number 1 team on the offensive end, number 3 in defense. They're 4th in rebounding, 4th in effective field goal percentage. They do everything well. They're deep. I mean, like they just plug along, man. They're a winning franchise. So give me the Celtics at 1. I don't have the Bucks. I think Doc is holding them back. And I don't have the Cavs. I just don't, something to me is missing with the Cavaliers. I can't put my finger on it, but something's just not quite there yet.
So Chris, let me jump in here and give my list because it's very similar to Al's. I actually have the same 3 teams, except I have New York and Miami flipped. So I have New York at 3 and I have Miami at 2. And I'll pontificate a little bit on Miami. Is you mentioned Al, they're sitting right now 7th in the East, 8th in the East, right where they were last year. But if I look at that roster, it's better to me this year than it was last year. You've added a Terry Rozier. You're going to have, I mean, again, we don't know health, but Tyler Hero was not healthy in the playoff run last year. They've now added Jaime Jaquez, who's been a gold mine for them late in this draft this year. Duncan Robinson, our boy had to shout him out. He was lost in the regular season last year, and he's having a really good season. He's found his stroke again for that team, and they're the best coached team in the league. The Sixers closed out the first half of the season with a game against them, and down the stretch, they were just running these sets, and guys were getting open constantly. Their offensive sets are really, really smooth. I have them at number 2. New York at 3. For me, again, they may just lack just a little bit of firepower for the playoffs. You know, they're relying a lot now on DiVincenzo as a secondary scorer. I'm not sure he can be that in the playoffs. Julius Randle, he's got some Embiid in him come the playoffs. He hasn't been great. They added Bogdanovich, who, while I think he's a nice player, I just don't think he fits in a Tom Thibodeau type system, and I don't think he'll be as much of an impact as people think. So I just think they lack a little bit of the offensive punch. But Boston's number one. Their starting five has no weaknesses. They've got 5 guys who can put the ball in the basket. They've got 5 guys who can play defense. They've got 5 guys who can rebound, 5 guys who can pass. They all play well together. If anything, they lack a little bit of depth, but Horford's going to hit in a 7-game series. He's going to have those 2 games where he scores 15 points and hits 4 threes, and that'll bury you. So they've got enough. The question is probably the coaching and whether or not Missoula can get him over the hump. But they're really, really good. And I don't see a world where a healthy Boston doesn't get out of the East.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have already said basically all I would say is especially with Boston. The only concern I have with Boston is Porzingis in the postseason. We haven't really seen what that looks like. So we'll see what he brings to them as a postseason player. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely the top team. I got to stay consistent with what I've said all year. So I'm still putting based on assuming he comes back half decent with Nick Nurse as the coach this time. A lot of those guys, I'm still putting the Sixers in the top 3. And I'm going to go with the Knicks also. The Knicks got dogs. And we haven't seen them yet get to that situation where they can really do some damage. But, that arena as a home court advantage is elite. And like I said, those guys are dogs, they're winners. Villanova guys in the NBA are like Alabama and Georgia guys in the NFL at this point. Like you get a guy you get a Nova guy, you got a winner. You got a guy that knows how to play. You got a competitor. And they got DiVincenzo. They got Jalen Brunson. They've got Josh Hart. These guys, they're dogs, man. So I hate to say that being a New York team, but if the Sixers are out of it, that's the team I'm rooting for. They haven't won in a long time, just like we haven't. And that would be great for the NBA if the Knicks can be really good again.
They're really likable. And I want to share a quick story. I saw this on Twitter the other day, and it was Bob Myers was on a TNT broadcast. Bob Myers, the former president of the Golden State Warriors. And they were talking about how Brunson slipped so far in the draft. And he was talking that year, the Warriors had a late first-round pick. They took a guy, Jacob Evans, out of Oklahoma State. It turned out to be nothing. And he goes, Bob Myers, the GM of the Warriors, goes, Jay Wright called me and said, and this was the year that Bridges came out of Nova. This was the year DiVincenzo came out of Nova. And he said, why is nobody talking about Brunson? And Bob Myers said to him, he does all that post-up stuff in college. Like, that's not going to work in the NBA when he gets these bigger guys that are guarding him. His game's just not going to translate. And Jay Wright's answer back to him was, he's the best player on my team. And it's not
close. It's a national champion team.
Right, and it's not close. He's the best player by far. And I think sometimes that stuff does translate, but sometimes just dudes can hoop. Like dudes can hoop, and that.
And I'll be honest, you're right. And I'll be honest, I was not big on Brunson coming into the NBA either. I thought a lot of the same things. I thought he was going to be like another Scotty Reynolds or another one of those guys that was a small Nova guard that knew how to play but wouldn't be a star or anything like that. Archdiacono, another guy, but he has totally. I mean, he's actually now a bargain. We talked before about how that was a dumb contract when they signed it because we thought he wasn't worth it. He's not only worth it, he's a bargain for that team right now with what they're paying him.
All-time mistake by the Dallas Mavericks letting that guy go.
Yeah. One more quick Brunson story. So a buddy of mine, shout out Big Cam. He used to hang out with those guys and party with them in college, that whole Villanova crew. And he told me that every party they ever went to, Brunson never drank, was never on the dance floor, was never doing anything he shouldn't have been doing. He said every single party he'd be posted up against the wall with his foot up on the wall, just with his arms crossed, watching everybody.
He's a real one. See, he posts up the dudes on the court, posts up the wall at the parties.
He said he was like, I should have known then. Like that dude was just laser focused. He did not let anything get in his way. All he did was hoop.
Well, the one thing I'll say about that is Jalen Hurts does that, and he's no fun dude, right? But nonetheless. Jalen's mistake was his daddy's mistake, letting him go to Nova instead of keeping him in house at Temple on North Broad Street. That was his mistake. I got a lot of we could have a whole show on Temple basketball, how much of it's a joke right now. But we let Lynn Greer's son go to St. Joe's. We let Rick Brunson's son go to Nova, and we are stuck with nothing. We are like 1-11 in our conference right now, and a conference that stinks.
Because you're relegated, guest.
Yeah.
You get relegated to the SWAC.
I'm trying to take us back to the A10, man.
Missed the
A10 was fun basketball.
I missed the A10.
Yeah, that was fun basketball. I don't care about playing Wichita State and these guys. No one cares about the South Florida and all that crap.
One last thing on the Eastern Conference and the Knicks, and before we close, I mentioned you guys. I was at the Garden a few weeks ago for work, watching the first time experience there. That city loves Jalen Brunson. And
they love the Knicks.
They love the Knicks. All right,
let's get to that building. It's Knicks stuff all over that building.
Yeah. Let's get to the West. I'll go first here. We'll do the top three. The West is really interesting to me because you have a lot of these upstart teams without a lot of playoff experience, and then you've got these veteran teams that are kind of hanging in the back. You know, the Warriors, the Lakers. But I'm going to go with my top three. At number three, unfortunately, I hate saying it, I have the LA Clippers at 3. They've been really good this year. We'll see what happens come playoff time. 2, I'm still going to go Phoenix. I don't love the pick. I think they added, I don't think Royce O'Neal's a very good player, but he's a huge upgrade over some of the crap that they were running out there off the bench. So I like that upgrade. If they can keep those 3 guys on the court, Durant, Beal, and Booker, they've got a shot. But number 1, the Kings stay the king in my book. I have the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. What'd you say?
I thought you were going to say the Kings for a minute.
No. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the world. And that team has still brought the same 5 guys back. They have the continuity. They've been there. They lose, obviously, Bruce Brown off the bench. But until somebody knocks him off, I can't take him out of the number 1 spot. Chris?
I would say Denver. I would put them in there. I don't want to say Phoenix because I don't believe. I just don't believe in that team. The way it's made up, the lack of depth they have, I just don't believe in them. I don't believe in the Clippers because they don't have any guys that are, except for Kawhi, they don't really have guys who are winners on that team. So I feel like at some point they're gonna be a letdown. But I might have to say them.
That's what I mean. There's a lot of question marks around a lot of these.
Somebody is going to come out of the West, or at least make a run in the West that we don't expect. Whether it's LeBron, whether it's the Kings, whether it's the Thunder. I guess I'll put the Thunder in there. I'll put the Thunder in there. We'll see how that plays out as far as what they can do defensively in the playoff scenario, if they can hold their own. They took a huge leap in their wins from last year. So those guys they're continuing to grow and get better. I'll put them in there. I don't believe in Minnesota. I don't like the West at all. I'll be honest. It's hard for me to pick this. I don't really let me know in June who's left in the West, and then we'll go from there. I don't really know what else. I don't believe in any of these teams aside from Denver. There's a lot of these question marks with these guys.
Take the Niners, guest.
Well, I won't do that either.
Remember, we had this problem last year, though. Remember, because Seltzer, you ended up convincing yourself to take the Mavericks.
Yeah, that was terrible.
OKC they're a 2 seed right now, so they're going to have home court in probably the first 2 rounds, and they are one of the best, if not, are they still the best? At one point, they were the best record at home in the league.
Boston is.
Okay. So as far as the West is concerned, I feel like going in there to win in a play. I remember how the Thunder, that building was when they were good. That was a really tough place to play, coming in as a road team. So if they bring that energy again with this group, they might be able to do something. Maybe they're the team that's going to make a run. I know Minnesota's the 1 seed. We're probably being super disrespectful to them, but they're one of those teams where they got guys that are kind of I don't really respect as winners yet either.
Yeah. Well, again, I think from a roster standpoint, Oklahoma City is one of the most complete teams in the conference, but we've sat here on this podcast and said over and over again, the playoffs is a man's game, and sometimes you have to take your lumps a couple years before you're ready to come out. And that's just where I am with them. I love that team, but they haven't been in those a 7-game series.
The Thunder you're talking about?
What'd you say?
The Thunder you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They haven't been through the wars.
I agree.
To be ready yet. That's my
okay. OKC is obviously this year's Sacramento. They've been blessed with health. They have a star in SGA. He's a superstar. I mean, he's elite. But they're just too young. Look. I don't want to put this out there now because I don't know who they'll end up playing. But there's a world where they get bounced in the first round by Golden State or the Lakers. Absolutely,
Kings.
100%. So I don't have OKC in my top 3 either. I don't have Phoenix. I think they're too thin. I don't like Royce O'Neal. I don't like Drew Eubanks. I don't like that.
I hate that. I don't like that team at all.
Chunky ass Eric Gordon.
I just ran out of guys. Ran out of teams.
Yeah. So I got my top 3. Number 3, I have a team that I think you both did disrespect. It's the Timberwolves. They're the best defensive team in the league. I think that their offensive numbers are a little bit misleading. They're down around like the teens as far as offensive efficiency is concerned, but that's because they turn the ball over a shit ton. So if they can clean up the turnovers, I think that they're actually going to be a little bit better on the offensive end. They shoot well. Their effective field goal percentage is in the top 10. They just can't handle the ball. You got to remember too, this is a team that it's only the second year of this Twin Towers experiment. Conley's only been around for a little over a year now. So I think that they're still trying to figure things out. And I like Finch as a coach. I think he's showing a little bit of the chops to get these guys where they need to be to that next level. I mean, they're the 1 seed in the West. We all had them middling around 7, 8, 9 play-in territory. They've also beaten a lot of teams, man. They've beaten all the contenders this year. They've beaten Denver. They've beaten Boston, Milwaukee, OKC, New Orleans. 2-0 against Golden State. 2-0 against the Clippers. So I have them number 3, and it's only number 3 a little bit because of what I just said about OKC. They don't have the experience yet in the postseason. I have the Clippers at 2, and it pains me to say that as well, Adam, because who the hell wants to have a team with that knucklehead James Harden in the top 3? But it is what it is. Can they stay healthy? If they can, they're going to be a threat to walk out of the West. And then number 1. I was going to say it. You said it, Adam. It's the Nuggets. They're missing a couple pieces from last year's team, but I still trust them, and you have to have them up there until somebody dethrones them.
And they're only 3 games back of the 1 spot right now, so they could still make a run and get back to that top spot.
They're on cruise
control. That.
They're obviously on cruise control.
Yeah, if they do that, I mean, they've come in. I think they've lost 3 in a row. But to your point, Al, these games right now, it's the dog days of February. Some of these teams are just mentally not. It's tough to get some of these guys engaged, unfortunately, which goes to what we talked about earlier in the segment with the lack of competitiveness with some of these guys. But listen, man, we all been waiting for the Timberwolves to fall. At least I have to fall apart this year from the top spot, and they just have not done that. They've stayed up there. I love Ant Edwards. He's one of my favorite players in the league. Again, seeing what he does in the playoffs is one thing, but just like OKC, when Minnesota was really good in the Garnett years back in the day with Garnett and Marbury and those guys, that was a tough place to win in too. So those people bring energy when it's time. I know they'll show up. The question is, will the guys on the court, can Cat be a leader in the playoffs for a team? Right.
I see a lot of like Sixers when I look at Minnesota as far as mental toughness.
Yes.
And that's besides Ant. I really like Ant. I think he'll be ready to step into that role. But when times get tough, is Karl Anthony Towns going to fold? Rudy Gobert's been exposed in the playoffs 2 or 3 times defensively, getting pulled out. Are we going to see that again? If so, how does that happen? That's my concern with Minnesota. But regular season wise, they've been defensively, they're the best team in the league.
Listen, a lot of these guys on these teams, these franchise cornerstone pieces that are on these teams, they got to be like, it makes me think about Paulie Walnuts on The Sopranos when he said, when it's my time, am I going to step up? Some of these guys will look themselves in the mirror and see if they're going to be able to be capable of doing that, especially on the Clippers, because they got the pieces. They've got the firepower, but do they have the heart? And I think that's the main thing we've got to see from a team like that going forward. And we talk about Kawhi being a dog. He has the dog in him, but he also has injury histories. Yeah. And it's February 20th.
So does PG.
He knows where he's going to be at by April 20th with his health.
Yeah, Paul George, James Harden, same thing.
So that's a great transition for I have my next 2 questions for you guys. Number 1 is going to be, who has surprised you the most? And the second one's going to be, who has disappointed you the most? And you can give me a player or you can give me a team, but I'll start giving the transition. My biggest surprise this year has been Kawhi Leonard. And I say that because the last 5 years, here's his games played number: 9, 60, 57, 52, 0, 52. So far this year, he's played 48 out of 53 games. He's only missed 5 games this year. He's averaging 24, 5, and 6. He's shooting 52 from the floor, 45% from 3, and 89% from the line. It's vintage Kawhi. The guy's got 2 finals MVPs, and he seems to be back in that form. He's a stealth MVP candidate to me. I don't think he wins it, but he's got to be top 3 at this point with Shea and Jokic, I would think. Giannis is in there too, so maybe top 4. But to me, Kawhi Leonard's health and his play being like peak Kawhi is one of the biggest surprises in the league.
My biggest surprise is the Timberwolves. I won't reiterate everything I just said. My biggest disappointment are the rookies. Outside of Wembanyama and maybe like Brandon Miller, like Scoot has not done anything. I mean, he looks a little more comfortable lately, but he hasn't done what we thought he would do as the number 3 pick and revitalize that Blazers team. The Thompson twins, are they even in the league right now?
They've been a little better last couple of weeks, but they've been slow.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that this draft, I mean, it looked like there were some guys that could potentially make some noise outside of Wembanyama, and just nobody looks good.
Hold on a minute, Al. Wait a minute. I gotta pull you to the carpet.
You're gonna sell me on Derek Lively, or are you gonna sell me on?
No. I gotta pull you to the carpet, my man, because you were tough on Wembanyama.
Okay.
Now you're talking about there's not really a lot of other people besides Wembanyama that can play. I told you he was here.
What was my argument about Wembanyama? It wasn't that he wasn't going to have a good rookie season or a great. I said he's the rookie of the year. Clearly, I always said I'm worried about his frame. I don't know if he's going to hold up to have a fruitful long-term career because of his frame. That's my worry.
I think he's just getting started, man.
I hope so. I root for the kid, dude. Dude, he's electric.
Great kid.
He's unbelievable out there. He's dropping F-bombs live on TNT. I don't know if you guys saw that. Dude, great. As far as, look, I will admit, as far as what he's been able to do on the court and not even a whole season of basketball, I was wrong. But I don't think he can sustain it over the course of, again, a 15-year NBA career.
Well, I'll tell you this also. It's also unfair. You know, those guys like him are so elite and so great and such outliers to be so good so fast. These guys are 19 years old, these rookies.
Yeah.
They're going against men.
Kids.
It's tough. Like like baseball, we're conditioned to wait years for these guys. Hockey, we're conditioned to wait years for these guys. The NFL, you get drafted as a man, physically and mentally. Most of those guys are drafted already as men. It's a different thing. But the NBA, we're still having to understand, like, these guys are kids coming out here playing a grown man's game. The first time they got money, first time they got a lot of this stuff. And it takes some time. It takes time for these guys to really hit their stride. I mean, some of those guys on Detroit, which don't get me started on that, but the Jaden Ivies and other guys, like, they've shown flashes now. They've been in the league 2 years, 3 years. Some of them, like, they got to cook a little bit, these kids.
Yeah, but the problem is our generation was spoiled because you got Kobe, you got KG, you got Tracy McGrady.
And even those guys took 3 years to get ready.
No,
Tracy McGrady was just a guy for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what. Took maybe 2.5 years.
I'm saying, but like, he would come as a rookie and be lights out. He was just Vince Carter's cousin for a while.
Yeah, but you could see it early on. Like, I don't see shit out of Scoot, out of the Thompsons.
See, I disagree with that.
No, Scoot's been bad this year, but
but he's
pressing.
I think he'll be okay. I believe he'll be okay. But I get what you're saying now. I'm just saying, like, let these guys cook a little bit. I get the lack of patience a lot of us have, but
I do also think
next year's draft is worse.
I do also think Scoot has benefited from it. I'm not saying this is why you like him, Gas, but it's the name. If he was just Tom Benson, like, everybody's like, oh, I'm out on this dude.
Yeah, Tom Benson.
That's also true. All right, Chris, hit us with your surprise, your disappointment quickly, and then we'll do our finals picks.
I mean, honestly, it surprises the Thunder. I mean, they've come out of the woodwork. They don't have any superstars. I mean, obviously, Chet Holmgren is a young, awesome piece, but I wouldn't call him a superstar just yet. he definitely is on the trajectory to become that. But they got a lot of guys that are just ballers that just want to play hard. They've got great chemistry, great defensive-minded guys. For him to be 20 games over 500 and the 2 seed in the West right now is very surprising to me. Playoff team, I could see that coming. I did not see them becoming a threat to be a top team in the conference at this point in the game. And then as far as what was the other part?
Disappointment, or if you have one?
Just Embiid, man. Same thing again. Like, I mean, you guys like me and other people around the city and around the league that are fans of it, around the world that are fans of his, and it's just frustrating that we've seen this yet again. And is it his fault? Probably not. But it's not ours either. You know, and these other stars out here, it doesn't happen to them. And it's just frustrating that as great of a player as he is, you can start seeing that tunnel light at the end getting dim in terms of seeing him become the peak of what he could have been as a champion. So for me, that's my biggest disappointment. Even though he got the 70-point game and he was leading the league in score, all that stuff, it's all washed now because he can't play.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean,
point.
It's hard to argue that being a disappointment.
I was going to do our finals picks, but does anybody going outside of Denver versus Boston? Because that's kind of what I heard.
No.
Here. So we all have Denver versus Boston. Do want to just casually mention our preseason locks of the year and just give you an update on where we are. Al, you had the Clippers under 46.5. That's probably going to be a loser. They're on pace for 56 wins. You also had the Knicks over 45.5, which will likely be a winner. They're on pace for 49 thus far. I had the Clippers over, which is be a winner. Obviously, we just mentioned. I had the Chicago Bulls under 37.5. They're on pace for 39 currently, so that one will probably come down to the wire.
That's a sweat job.
Yeah, that's a sweat one. Chris, you had the Rockets over 31.5. They're on pace for 36, so you should be in pretty good shape there. And then the lock of the millennium here. Guess you had the Pistons over 27.5. They're on pace for 12.
Yeah, they could get hot. You know. No, that was definitely
2 seasons guest.
That was a dud, man. That was definitely a dud. I don't know what some of those I just banked on potential getting reached too soon. Those guys can't. They don't have it. They're not ready.
And Monty Williams is just cashing checks over there.
But maybe they'll have. I mean, that organization just doesn't get it. To hire a guy like him as their coach for a team that's not built to win yet is stupid. But they're going to probably go after Tobias in the offseason. Hey, who knows? Maybe he's the piece they never knew they needed.
Said by no one ever. All right, that'll wrap up segment 2 tonight. We're going to jump into segment 3. We've done some trivia in the past, and Al has put together some all-star trivia for Chris and I to, I guess, battle. Are we going one-on-one here? Are we a team?
I wouldn't say like, so here's my plan, right? So I'm going to share my screen. If you're listening at home, now's the time to get your pen and your paper out. You can play along with us. So I'm going to spin the 3K wheel, and a team is going to come up, and we have to go around and name all the all-stars. Now, here's the tricky part is without a host to monitor this, we're not going to know who actually was and was not an all-star. So here's what we'll do. We'll just name them for like a minute or two, right? And we'll just get all the names out there, and then we'll just see how many we're right. So I'll just write down all of the names, okay. And then I have a website that has all the people from every franchise that's made an all-star game.
What's our time frame here?
So the only way I can do this is all time. I believe, because I don't want to. I guess not. I guess I can list it by year. It looks like.
Can we narrow our focus? Maybe 2000 on something like that.
Why don't we do 90?
No. Okay. Let's be OGs, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2000 is too recent. I won't excel at that.
Okay. 90s.
Yeah. All right.
Let's flex some knowledge here.
Okay. 90s on.
Let me share.
How do we even go beyond? Why we gotta go up? Why can't we just do in general?
All right, we can do in general.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Give me some Dual Cinder in here.
Okay.
Or some Fat Lever.
Fat A.
All right, we ready? Now listen, and we'll close with the Sixers. So if I spin the Sixers, we'll just spin again.
Okay.
All right, so let's see what we got here. I'm going to spin the wheel. We got sound effects. You hear it?
This segment is brought to you by WordWall. Create better lessons quicker.
All right, we got the Phoenix Suns.
All right.
Go
So
ahead.
let's just go. Let's go. It's me, Al, guess on the screen. So let's just go in order. Let's just start recently. We'll go Devin Booker.
All right, hang on. Let me pop this back up here. All right, so
Oh,
Devin
yeah,
Booker.
nice. Devin Booker.
Okay. I'll go Thunder Dan.
The aforementioned KJ Johnson.
Two-time MVP Steve Nash.
Sean Marion.
Maury Stoudemire.
Good one. You're right. You're right. You're good.
All right.
Kevin Durant.
Um,
Come on, man. There's one sitting out there for you.
Oh God! Oh my God!
recent?
No.
Oh, Barkley.
Yeah, there you go.
Wait, what was one of his nicknames?
Yeah, it's the
The Great Pizza or something. Leaning Tower Pizza.
How about let me try to flex some OG muscle here. I don't know if I'm right or not, but what about that Larry Nance?
I think you're good there. I'll go with my boy J Kidd.
Do we think?
Do we have a time limit on how long we answer this, or what? Are we just going until we can't go?
Let's just go until we're stumped.
Do we think?
I think I might have.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, I got two.
You got two.
Yeah.
All right, at this point, I think we could do a group collab now that we're kind of stuck here. Go ahead.
The microwave was the microwave an all-star?
Vinny Johnson?
Yeah.
You had to double check that. He might have been.
I'm not sure. You thinking? Guess you're going to go Tom Chambers?
No, but that's a good one. How about that Michael Finley?
I don't think
I don't think
he's not an all-star with the Suns.
And here's why I think that.
Dallas.
When I was looking up the over/under 3.5, I think he only made one all-star team, and it was with Dallas.
I think that's Dallas.
How about Joe Johnson?
I think that might be close. I think Joe Johnson's prime years are Atlanta, but we could put that on there. I had another one that I
How about Jeff Hornacek?
I was going to say the Phoenix Suns gorilla.
I think at this point we could probably. What about Marbury?
I forgot he was one of the Suns.
You got traded for Kid.
He only made two, if I remember.
All right, let's do a fact check now. I think we're good, unless you guys have another one.
All right,
I feel like we're missing. Yeah, because I want to get other teams in. So
whoa, one more. Did Chris Paul make it when he was in Phoenix?
We'll add Paul to the list.
Yeah, let's add Chris Paul.
I brought the list up, so I can't.
Okay, that's it. I'm good now.
All right, so let me go ahead and stop that one. And then we can name these for the people listening at home. Here are the names.
Transaction history.
We got, I'll do it by player or by, all right.
Do it by C. Okay, that's fine.
Oh, Alvin Adams. How we not get him?
So Barkley, Booker, Chambers.
Yeah.
KD. Connie Hawkins we missed.
Yeah, that
was
was
a sec. Good pull.
Yeah, Dennis Johnson, the microwave.
Good.
That was Vinny Johnson. Dennis Johnson was.
Oh yeah, wait. Who was Dennis Johnson?
Dennis Johnson used to be on the Celtics.
Yeah.
Marbury.
Good.
Larry Nance. Shaq.
That's a
hold
fan
on,
vote. That's a fan vote.
Hold on.
I thought he was washed by then.
How did we forget? How did we forget Truck Robinson?
Truck Robinson, Dick Van Arsdale,
or the Charlie Chaz Scott.
Chris Paul was on the list. So how many did we get? We got a lot.
Yeah, we got a good
a lot.
How many were wrong?
We got a lot.
We justified it.
Yeah, we hit.
Well, look, I'm looking. I think everyone except for the microwave was on there. Was Joe Johnson on there?
No Joe Johnson.
All right, so that's too strong. And Finley wasn't on there.
Yeah, we didn't put Finley down though.
No,
I think Yeah,
The gorilla never made the squad.
No, but that's bullshit. The gorilla was definitely on the squad.
know.
You could play with him
Gorilla
in the NBA Jam.
was definitely one of the best mascots in the NBA, let alone sports.
I think in sports, he's got to be number 2. It's got to be the Fanatic,
And then the
the
gorilla.
gorilla, the orange, the Syracuse orange,
Where do you put Mr. Met?
the Stanford tree, and Mr. Met. That's going to be the top 5.
I smell a segment.
All right, let me pull the wheel back up.
Such teacher.
Yeah. All right, I'll eliminate the Suns here. I'll eliminate them. They're out. They're gone.
Spin the wheel, make the deal. Houston Rockets.
The Houston Rockets.
All right.
All right, I'll start at the top.
You guys go first while I switch around here.
All right, I'll go first. I'm going to take Al's boy Yao Ming.
Well, you gotta go with the homie Chuck again.
Did he make one as a Rocket?
Probably. If Shaq made one with the Suns, then
yeah, he had.
I feel like the fan vote was different in 08-09 than it was in like 95.
The fan vote.
Okay, all right, we can leave Shaq on there.
I'm going Stevie franchise.
Good one.
It's a good one.
Let's just go the Dream.
Okay.
How about that Katino Mobley?
Oh, Cat.
I don't think he made one.
Who's still playing at the big 3, I believe.
Clyde.
Clyde the Glide.
I think you guys are off on all those.
What?
I don't think they made it as those on those teams.
Drexler, I'll be shocked if Drexler wasn't.
Yeah, so why? I'll be stunned.
All right, I'll go obviously James Harden.
See, I want to do bust outs, but I don't want to waste our time here. Man, why I can't think of Rockets.
I got one more, I think. I don't have much more
I
here.
got a couple more, I think.
This is gonna sound like no, he can't. There's no way he made it.
I mean, you're definitely missing one easy one.
You know it, or you're just assuming?
I know it for sure. Probably 2 actually.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of recent and then going back, but I'm just gonna throw. Did Ralph Sampson make an All-Star?
Ralph
team?
Sampson's definitely on there.
I was gonna say Kenny the Jet.
Nah, I don't think he's.
I don't know if he made an All-Star. He definitely was in 3-point contest, but I don't know
that's what I'm thinking, right? But,
yeah.
I mean, Tracy McGrady.
Yeah.
And then I think Dwight Howard was there for a couple of years, and I think he would have made one. And then my other one was like, I know Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook were both there for really short times.
I got another point guard. What about Sam Cassell?
That's what I was gonna say. Cassell.
Too young, I think. I think Cassell's only made. I think you guys are gonna be shocked at how many of these are wrong. Anybody else more recently? I guess the Rockets have been bad for a while here.
My boy Eddie Griffin.
Yeah, rest in peace. I don't think he made it, but if you want to go bust out, we can go bust out here.
Just start naming them.
We can go Scott Bullard. With 1 T, I believe. I don't even know if he had 2 T's.
So that's Scott Pollard.
No, that's Pollard, but Bullard was up there. Was it Scott Bullard or Pat Bullard?
No, Scott.
Scotty.
All right, let's do a fact check here.
That was his nickname in the locker room. For the record, we know that Pollard or Bullard, wasn't an All-Star, but I just thought it'd be funny to put that. Or Eric was he was the Clippers.
I don't think Capella never made an All-Star team with them. I think we could check out. Let's do the check.
There's got to be some guys we missed here.
Let's dial in here. I'm going to pull up the Houston Rockets all-time All-Stars, and
I know what they didn't do. They didn't eat at that bar and grill across from the Minute Maid Park. That's what they did.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Kobe. Westbrook did make it.
Right away, though, if you look at this, so we got Harden, Westbrook, Dwight Howard, Yao Ming, Tracy McGrady, and Steve Francis, and those are the only guys in the last 20 years.
Yeah,
We
we
hit 'em
might
all.
not have had a lot of misses here. They might not have had a lot of guys.
Barkley,
Clyde's on
Drexler.
there.
Clyde's on. Okay,
Drexler.
Clyde's on there twice.
Otis Thorpe, the Big O, Moses, Rudy Tomjanovich. What, you guys know the claim to fame for Rudy as a basketball player?
No.
But aside from obviously making 4 All-Star games, was he got knocked the F out in the Olympics by, I think it was one of the Russian players.
I do kind of vaguely remember that story.
It was a big thing, yeah. And then they went off the Americans, like went off the court and all that other stuff. Yeah, we wouldn't have got. I mean, we wouldn't have gotten.
Moses was probably a bad miss.
Moses we should have got.
Yeah. Everyone else, I can't see us getting.
Sampson was in there.
Yeah.
Jack Marin.
Mobley was not, but those other ones were.
Yeah, I think we did all right there for the Rockets. They stink.
Yeah, not a great franchise.
No,
but they did win back-to-back titles in the 90s.
Did.
I love the 90s.
Thanks to Jordan for leaving the league. All right, here we go.
Jordan might have won 8 straight rings. Think about that.
We're gonna eliminate.
We're gonna take the Rockets out of there.
Get
out.
Oh,
this is another tough one.
It is tough because they had the same players for so long.
Yeah, this is.
San Antonio Spurs is the list.
All right, who's you starting this?
I'll throw a bust out there. A couple years ago, DeJounte Murray was an All-Star representative for the San Antonio Spurs.
All right.
How about that? Well, obviously David Robinson. Let's get those guys out of there.
All right. I'll go Ginobili.
Iceman, George Gervin.
Yeah, go Timmy.
Remember, guess you had the Tims. Good Tony Parker.
Kawhi.
How about? I don't know if he made it, but how about that Sean Elliott?
Oh, that was mine. Guess, damn it.
I don't know. He might not even. I don't know.
I got another one though. It's Seltzer's boy. He patterned his game after him.
Stop! Do not drop a Vinny Del Negro.
Vinny Del Negro. Vinny Del Seltzer.
Vinny Del Negro.
That's wild.
Yeah, they had a lot of corny white dudes in the 90s, dude.
Honestly, I don't know.
A lot of corny white dudes in the NBA.
I don't think there's that many more. Wait, here, let me give you one. LaMarcus Aldridge may have made one for that.
Oh, he definitely did.
And then DeRozan was also on those teams.
Aldridge probably made a lot of them.
Yeah, but he was mostly Portland.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. He was run down by the time he got to San Antonio, right?
Dude, I forgot.
He had a couple good years there, but when they got him, it was like a big deal, and then he never really.
How about my man Dennis Rodman?
I think too soon because he was another one that only made like 2 All-Star teams ever.
Yeah, he was Detroit and Chicago, where anytime he was outside of those 2 cities, he was
he dyed his hair blonde with the Spurs.
Yeah, he was not. But anytime he was not on those teams, he was a loose cannon.
What about? Oh shoot, there was one I just was thinking about. How about Avery Johnson?
Yeah, I think it's a reach, but you put him on there.
Like early 90s.
I don't mind.
I don't know.
I think we might be there. I don't think there's that many.
I think Sean Elliott's on there before Avery Johnson is.
Yeah, you're probably right. I was thinking the fetus.
I think some old school Spurs. I don't even know any old.
Well, you had Gervin on there.
Yeah.
Spurs, by the way, were one of those ABA converted teams, weren't they?
Yeah.
With Indiana and yeah, man. I'm probably.
Yeah. Let's do a fact check.
I got nothing else. All right.
And then we'll do 2 more and then the Sixers.
Yeah. Okay. All right. San Antonio Spurs. I'm accessing the database now. Boop, 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 boop,
boop. Sound effects are on point tonight.
What about if you're not from here, do you think that people would have a lot of Sixers?
No.
No. All right, so everybody so far that we said, we got DeJounte, LaMarcus Aldridge, Kawhi, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, David Robinson, Sean Elliott. We got everybody.
I mean, a few. Artist Gilmore. That was one.
Alvin Robertson, Larry Kenon, and that's it.
That was good work by us.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. We only missed like two. But artists, our artist, I think, was a top 75 player. We
had DeRozan on there. DeRozan didn't get it, but that's all right.
Damn, Artist Gilmore was 7'2".
Yeah,
Jesus,
from Jacksonville.
Imagine being 7'2" in the 80s.
Yeah, well, he was an all-star.
Jesus,
probably dominated.
Damn right.
Can you click if you click that name or that year? Does it tell you what they did or no?
It just sends me to his like summary, like his stats.
I'll pull it up on the side while we're searching.
I'm almost positive. I thought he was a top 20 or top 75 guy. I could be wrong. I don't know.
He averaged 17 and 10 for his career. He had years of 23 and 12, 23 and 13.
And that was a lot back then.
He got an MVP in the ABA.
Yeah.
He had 24 and 18.
Yeah, he was a nice player.
All right, we're going back to the wheel. We're going to eliminate the Spurs.
All right. Premature there. Make it ugly.
Did we get an Eastern team in this, John?
We're living in the Western Conference.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Well, let's get let's start shaking the trees here.
All right.
Good.
Well, let's just start. I'll go Karl Malone. Are you allowed to say his name anymore? Pedophile?
Yeah, just the dude, mailman.
He's mailman, all right. He's delivering. You want to go, Al? Or you?
Yeah, Stockton.
Yeah. I'm gonna stay with my man Jeff Hornacek. Again, corny dudes that stopped like
second mention on the podcast tonight. Darren Williams.
What about Paul Millsap?
Well, you like that?
How about that? How about Byron Russell didn't make an All-Star team, did he?
I don't think so.
There's another one.
I got three more. I got a bust out of bust outs.
I got two. I'm not sure. I think
Seltzer was a big Greg Ostertag fan. I know that.
Oh, Diversa was Greg Ostertag.
Big number 0 for Big O.
He was 00, wasn't he?
He might have been. Not a franchise I'm fond of.
I mean, there's two recent ones.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who. Oh, marketing.
That's not who I was going with. That's a good one.
Yeah, me neither.
I'll Rudy Gobert.
I was going with Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, those were the two.
Did Mike Conley make an All-Star team with the Jazz?
I think you're right there. You ready for this bust out? Mehmet Okur.
You love Mehmet Okur.
Well, that made me think of AK-47 himself, Andre Drummond.
Did he make one? I was thinking about him. I wasn't sure.
Former Sixer.
He was good, man. He had to have made one.
What about Pistol Pete? Was he on the Jazz?
Yeah, he was on the Jazz.
I always get him and
one guy that could shoot. All the white guys that could shoot.
I always get him and Kuzi, and then there's another one all mixed up.
Well, now hold on. There's an asterisk there because he was on the New Orleans Jazz.
Well,
the wheels, the Utah Jazz, technically.
But if we get OKC, we can name Sonics, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
I got Gordon Hayward.
Yeah, that's a good one. Really good one, actually. I'm ready to pull the plug. If you guys are,
let me think. What was the big Yeti white dude they had? Remember that dude, Mark Eaton? Was it Mark Eaton?
Mark Eaton's a good one. He used to be a shot blocker.
Dude, he blocked like 5 shots a game.
Yeah, that's a good pull. I don't think Boozer played there in his peak. Like, I don't think he's on there. I don't think Boozer made many All-Star games at all. Anyway,
He might have made one though.
I don't think so.
It's worth noting in case.
Okay,
but you're right. I don't know if he's. I mean, I'm trying to think of during that run when they were really, really good, if they had anybody that would have made it with They already had. I mean, 3 guys is a lot of guys that run.
Yeah, it was only the 3 because then the 4th guy was like Russell, right? And
yeah,
Or Howard Isley or someone like that. He wouldn't have been here.
no. All right, pull him up.
Antoine Carr.
Oh boy. All right, I'm accessing the database now, gentlemen. Let's see who we got. Markkanen,
That was a good pull.
Gobert, Mitchell, Conley, Hayward, Darren Williams, Boozer, twice Boozer, Mehmet Okur, Kirilenko, Malone, Stockton. A lot of Malone, Stockton. Jesus.
There's my man.
Marky.
There he is.
Oh, guest. Adrian Dantley.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. That Ricky Green.
Ricky Green.
That was good work, Pistol.
Truck Robinson. Truck Robinson's back.
Truck was legit, bro.
I feel like I got to do Jobber or NBA All-Star.
Dude, Truck was legit. We got to get Dantley. That's an L by us. Not kidding.
Yeah.
That's good work, though.
We only missed 3.
Yeah.
From the friggin' Jazz.
Yeah.
All right, let's get a little Eastern Conference love, maybe.
Let's do. All right.
Talk about a team we don't connect with is the Philadelphia and the Jazz. Totally night and day from what we're used to.
Well, the Jazz are gone.
Oh, we almost had the Sixers in the game.
Toronto Raptors
lottery.
All right, we got the Raptors. Go ahead, Seltzer.
All right. I mean, I'll give for second mention tonight, Kawhi Leonard.
All right, I'll go Vince.
How about that Damon Stoudemire?
Oh, the man, Mighty Mouse.
I just had a name in my head. I just completely blanked on it. Chris Bosh.
Scotty Barnes.
Tracy McGrady.
You think McGrady made one with the Raptors?
I think so. I would say yes.
The Raptors list, I feel like, is small. Antonio Davis.
He was really good for them.
Yeah.
How about that Morris Peterson?
No Pete.
Nah, he's not an all-star.
He wasn't. He's a Seltzer all-star. We should do that next. We've named multiple already this evening.
Guys, Seltzer would have picked in Live 01.
I got 2 if we're collabing.
Well, hold on.
Skip to my Lou
made it last year, didn't he?
Who?
Skip to my Lou, Ray for Alston?
Get out of here. Who'd you say guess?
Van Vliet made it last year for them, didn't he?
Van Vliet's a good one. Van Vliet's correct. That's not who I was thinking of, though.
How about that Marc Gasol? Did Marc Gasol make it with the Raptors?
I think he was washed by that point. Plus, no, because they got him after the trade deadline. He's definitely not on there. Lowry and DeRozan are both on there.
All right. I got no one else.
I don't think I do either.
Yeah, I'll tap.
All right. Let's go.
I think we may have got them all.
All right, let's check. Toronto Raptors. We got Scotty Ball. Oh, Pascal Siakam.
Wow.
Van Vliet, Lowry, DeRozan, Bosh, Vince, Antonio Davis. No, so we should have substituted McGrady for Siakam.
Siakam's a bad miss.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
Really bad
we
miss.
went quick there. We jumped the gun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you want to do Sixers now?
Yeah. All right. Let me delete this. Pull the notes back up. How many? Well, I know how many they are. Did you guys see the post on Instagram? So, I think it was the Sixers put up. Do you want to know the number?
Sure.
I believe they said there was 42, and I don't know if that counts Tyrese Maxey.
That probably mean you don't. That's probably total appearances.
Yeah.
Not
I don't
just
think
players.
42 individual players.
I didn't look because I knew we were doing this segment, so I didn't look.
I can't imagine there'd be 42 guys.
I'll start with the obvious. Ben Simmons.
No, I'm not. Dude, I'm not writing that. We got to start.
Ben Simmons. Put it on the list.
Got to start somewhere else.
Dana Barros.
Oh man, hold on. Let's just get a bunch of the randos out there.
Dana
No,
Barros.
Get the obvious ones first. We got
Dana
All right.
Barros. Put it
Dana
down.
Barros that was fine. What was it 94, 95, whatever it was.
All right.
Embiid.
All right, obviously Iverson.
Ben Simmons.
Stackhouse.
Did Stackhouse make it with the Sixers?
I don't know.
I don't know if he made the All-Star
I don't
team.
think so either.
Yeah, he's on there.
What about Dikembe Mutombo?
Andre Iguodala.
Barkley.
You got Maxey.
Doc.
Ratliff.
Good one.
How about that Clarence Weatherspoon?
Spoon never made it, did he?
I think he did.
All right.
Weather guest. He definitely was in something with the All-Star. Maybe it was. No, I think it was. I think he did make it.
Moses. Faux.
Tyrone Hill.
No way.
No, not with the Sixers, I don't think. How about that Andrew Toney?
Mo Cheeks.
That was the guy I was going to get next,
Wilt?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I went back to the 50s.
How about that Hal Greer? Man, did they have 42 guys? He might have.
Doug Collins make an all-star team?
We'll find out.
Or Billy Cunningham?
Billy Cunningham should be in there. What was his name? The Rabbit or something? What was his nickname?
I don't know.
Bobby Jones.
Bobby Jones.
Am I putting? Who'd you say? Collins and
Cunningham.
You want to put both of them in there?
Yeah. Put them both down. I shadily think Hersey Hawkins made an all-star team.
He probably did. He was good for us.
I don't think so.
You don't think Hawk made it?
No, I don't think so. He might have made a 3-point contest. I don't think he made an all-star. Sean Bradley?
What?
Dude, who knows? They had a period.
Put that down.
Dude, they had a period of time. Didn't they have it where baseball where they had a guy from every team?
I promise you Sean Bradley never made an all-star team. I promise you that.
I bet Tyrone Hill made one over him.
Tyrone Hill was an all-star with Cleveland. He wasn't an all-star with the Sixers. What about like the show your love teams? They never had an all-star, right?
Oh, wait, Thaddeus Young.
Thaddeus Young might have made
He never made an all-star team. What are you just writing down names?
Drew Holiday? Drew make one?
Drew didn't make one with the Sixers.
I think Drew made one with the Sixers.
Justin Holiday.
His first one was he made one with Milwaukee was his first one.
That was his first one?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the old school teams. Did guys like Chet Walker, did they make an all-star team? Like the 60s? I don't know.
The 90s were so bad. They had nobody in the 90s, so nobody was going to be an all-star then. And then Iverson came, and Iverson was just the franchise. And then you have like the Dallenberg years where they were terrible.
Yeah. A lot of these guys are going to come back from yesteryear, from the old days.
Yeah.
We said Hal Greer. We said Will.
Dolph Shays?
Dolph Shays was the Syracuse National, I believe.
Are we
but
missing?
That still counts.
Are we missing anybody recently? Like Harden didn't play in an All-Star game for the Sixers, I don't think.
No.
Or we got him after the All-Star game and then he got snubbed last year.
Snubbed, yeah.
And then Jimmy Butler didn't make the All-Star. Did Jimmy Butler make the All-Star team with us? I don't think he did.
No.
Yeah, because those teams were just Ben and Joel for a while. And we never had 3 All-Stars.
No. Never mind.
I think I'm good. I think we got a good list. Take Bradley off the fucking list, please.
You got to leave it. It's on the list.
I would take both of him and Hersey off the
Who was
list.
the linebacker the Eagles had?
Sean
Sean Bradley?
Yeah.
That guy's had a better shot at making it than this Sean Bradley.
All right, I'm pulling it up.
Chris Webber?
That might have been the sleep. He might have snuck in there.
Embiid, Maxey, Harden.
Harden did make it. Okay.
Ben, Drew Holiday.
Fuck, my bad on Holiday.
Dude, you're a rat.
Mutombo, Theo Ratliff, Dana Barrows, Barkley, Hershey Hawkins, Mo Cheeks, Dr. J, Moses, Andrew Toney, Bobby Jones,
George McGinnis,
Doug Collins, George
Mayor Steve Mix,
John Block, Billy Cunningham, Hal Greer, Wilt.
Chet did make it.
Chet Walker.
As did Larry Costello.
Chet made it like 4 times.
Luke Jackson, Red Kerr. Lee, dude, they had 42. Look at all these people. Lee Schaefer, Dolph Shays.
We're in the Syracuse days now, though.
Yeah, George Yardley, Red Kerr.
No Sean Bradley.
Paul Seymour. Red Roca.
That could be a wrestling jobber or NBA All-Star.
I got to do a jobber or NBA All-Star now. Look at these friggin' names.
Did Chuck Robinson make it for the Sixers?
I don't see our Chuck Robinson.
What year did Harden make it? I guess the year we traded. Did we trade for him before the deadline?
I guess so.
I don't think that's right.
21-22. Coach's selection.
Yeah, maybe.
Wait a minute. Scroll down for a second. There's a school in there I never even heard. Keep going. Where?
West Texas A&M?
No, it was
well, yes, this is like the 60s. So I mean these schools could be defunct.
There it is. Texas RGV. What the hell is that?
The Vaqueros.
Yeah.
They still play.
Yeah, they still get at it. They ain't got that dub in a while though.
UTRGV.
Dude, they're playing in the depths of Texas. Look at those teams they're playing.
California Baptist, California Baptist, Utah Tech, Southern Utah.
I think it's probably Rio Grande Valley, I would think.
Dude, they played Utah Tech twice. That's such a school and like a TV show. Like, yo, we go to Utah Tech.
Yeah. Tech State.
Yeah. But that'll wrap it up for our All-Star recap episode. Hope you guys enjoyed that.
I want an apology to Chet Walker, 4-time NBA All-Star.
At least he got an honorable mention. But we'll see you all next week. Until then, we're going to drop that beat.